What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Shortstop Offseason Outlook. This is the position that everybody is watching as we get into the offseason. We could have a new name added to the mix from the Dodgers. Chris Taylor got a pretty nice qualifying offer of $18.4 million. Last year made like $8. But the things that I'm reading and seeing, it looks like Chris Taylor and the Dodgers might not be able to get that done. So we have a new name added to the mix for the shortstop spot that we're going to dive into. And of course, we're going to dive into all the big ones, all the big names: Semien, Story, Correa, Seager, Baez, Andrelton Simmons. Wait, Andrelton Simmons? Well, we're going to dive into Andrelton Simmons. We're going to take a look at shortstop. Hit that like if you're excited about this position this offseason. You've got potential trades that could happen. We'll dive into what trades could happen. We're going to make some predictions. I want your predictions along the way. If you're watching the replay, comment below. If you are with me live, fire it up in the chat room. What is your prediction? Who is going where? Thank you to everybody that is here with me live right at the start. Gary, Dulcimerist, Kurzov, Chelston, Hockey Kid, Brendan, thank you guys for being in here early, right as we kick this thing off. There are others. Not everybody chats in the chat. Some like to just listen and watch, and that's perfectly fine. I'm cool with that. But let's look at this thing. The shortstop position. Has it ever been this exciting, this loaded? It's overshadowing the fact that there's a ton of good outfielders out there. It's overshadowing the fact that there's a ton of good starting pitchers out there. Shortstop, you've got generational talent. You've got a bunch of 20-year-olds. This doesn't happen. Usually you get one or two of these guys. And in this case, we got like 5 or 6. William, good to see you. Welcome in. Ryan, good to see you. Welcome in. Thank you for hopping in. Marcus Semien to the Mariners from Ryan McDonald. That is an interesting move. I have a pick that I made for Marcus Semien weeks ago, and I'm sticking with it until something happens. Now, one thing that we'll obviously have to watch for is a domino effect. You could see one move happen that could impact everybody. So we got to wait and see. I'm holding on to my predictions until we see one of those first dominoes fall and see if it changes things. Gregory loves Semien to the Mariners. Ryan, Ballcap, what's up? Are you going live Thursday? I will be live Thursday for your birthday. Happy birthday in advance, Ryan. So let's take a look at, as we always do, first, the shortstops that are available. Semien played second for the Blue Jays, but had been a shortstop with Oakland, can easily slide back to shortstop for anybody. Seager, Correa, Story, Baez. We add Chris Taylor into the mix because, again, it looks like there might be a split there. They may not come together. I'm surprised because, again, Taylor made $8 million last year. He can make $18 million this year. Chris Taylor wants to test free agency, which is kind of surprising to me. Freddie Galvis is out there, old veteran Freddie Galvis. Blue Jay fans very familiar with Freddie Galvis. Freddie Galvis has been around. Jose Iglesias, Andrelton Simmons, and then a bunch of the bargain bin players: Mercer, Gonzalez, Valleca, Riddle, Barreto, Peraza, Romine, Tejada, Cosma. I think there's a couple others, but we're just, it's you're diving deep into the bin. We're not going that deep on shortstop. So those are the shortstops that are available. Now, what team is out there? And Ben, it's now. Andrew Haney signed with the Dodgers. He was out there. It's now. You can make moves. William, yes, I do think the Mariners are going to be active. Mets talk with Hayden. Good to see you in. So let's talk about the teams that need a shortstop. That's next. It's not a long list. It's not a long list of teams that have a actual need at shortstop. The Astros, obviously, with Correa leaving. The Rockies with Story leaving. The Orioles need everything. The Tigers need a shortstop. The A's need a shortstop. The Dodgers don't because they can slide Trey Turner over. The Blue Jays don't because, again, Semien was playing second. The Mets don't because, again, Baez was playing second. They've got Lindor. So teams that actually truly have a need at shortstop, it's not a long list, but that is not going to affect what ends up happening with the shortstops. Obviously, there's going to be some movement. Teams are going to move players to second. Some of these guys could change positions. Or, again, if Baez ends up back on the Mets, he'll play second. So we will see. Mets, do I think Corey Seager will get a long-term deal? I do. Brendan, I don't see the Orioles going for anyone of value. They're cheap. Exactly. And we will dive into that because we're going to make some predictions on who is going to go where. But before we do, we're going to feature some of these guys. We're going to take a look at the players, and then we're going to get into where we think these guys are going to go. So let's start in no particular order. Let's take a look at the first shortstop, Trevor Story. He will be entering his age 29 season, coming off, quite frankly, a down year as far as he is concerned. You expect better from Trevor Story than 24 homers and a 251 batting average. This guy in 18, 19, and 20, batting average was closer to 300. The OPS was closer to 900 or in the 900s. Just 801 of an OPS, and just 801 for an OPS. A lot of players would take just 801. The speed was still there, 20 steals, certainly, but off his pace from 2020 when he stole 15 and 59 games. So really, kind of a down year, but in my opinion, with Trevor Story, the problem was he didn't know if he was going to stay in Colorado all year. They were obviously in a mode where they weren't trying to win. He did spend some time hurt, so not really the best Trevor Story year that you're going to see. Look to 2018, look to 2019. That's Trevor Story. If he's hitting down in the lineup, he has the ability to drive in runs like he did in 18. If he's hitting at the top of the lineup, he has the ability to score runs like he did in 2019. And no matter what, he's a 30-homer, 900 OPS guy. Entering his age 29 season, Trevor Story could end up 7-8 year deal. I don't think anybody would be crazy or think that's nuts if it goes that far. Let's take a look at the next shortstop again. We're not going in any particular order. This is the new name that we're adding to shortstop. Chris Taylor, in my opinion, it looks like he's gonna decline the qualifying offer. It could happen while we're streaming, or he could accept it while we're streaming, and it'll be a moot point. But Chris Taylor, 20 homers, a 782 OPS, coming off of 2020, where his OPS was in the 800s. The guy's an 800 OPS guy. 794, 842, 782. He lives around that 800, and I think that's a pretty fair number. He really stepped up for the Dodgers this year, earned an all-star trip, was an X factor for the Dodgers, came up big in the postseason. You like a guy that has the kind of postseason experience that he has, and the pop. Listen, is he a big homer guy? No. But he's versatile. He can give you a little bit off that bat. You see 20 homers in 2021, 21 homers in 2017. So he's a 15 to 20 homer guy. He's an 800 OPS guy, and he's versatile. That will play almost anywhere. So Chris Taylor is a very interesting piece. Gregory, you think that Taylor could end up in Seattle? I think that's a possibility. Sure. Let's go to the next shortstop. It's Javi Baez. Does the thumbs down situation have any impact on him going back to the Mets is really the question. And everybody, I want to remind you, hit that like if you are here hanging out in the chat. We got about 20 people watching. I think we're at 4 likes. Got to get to 10. Can we get 6 likes in the next few seconds? Hit that like if you haven't yet. Javi Baez really turned it on when he went to the Mets. A 299 average with New York, an 886 OPS. If he had done that over the length of a season, those would have been career highs. So he really turned it on when he was in a position to win. So you gotta like Javi Baez. If he stays in New York, really seemed to feed off of that energy in that crowd for better or for worse. Javi Baez was a big piece there, and you liked what you got from him. Over 10 likes, we're at 13 likes. Thank you guys. I think the number I was looking at might have been old. William. Funny William. So we have Javi Baez. I do think, well, I'm going to get into my prediction, but I think the numbers that he put up in the Mets with the Mets is what you can expect if he were to stay there. I think the guy needs to be motivated. I think he needs to be in a winning situation. If he's not, I think the numbers struggle. I think the numbers go down. So we've seen the bad Javi Baez, 2020, 203 average. But we've seen the good Javi Baez with the Mets, the 299 and 9 homers over 47 games. So we've seen both sides of Baez. I think that Javi Baez is going to be another guy. I mean, these guys are all in their late 20s. They're all entering their age 28 or 29 seasons, so they're going to get 6, 7, 8-year deals. Baez, does he get that big of a deal? That long of a deal is going to be an interesting to see. Next up is Corey Seager, and with Seager, we got a couple guys that we're going to talk about. We're talking about Seager and Correa. What could derail them is their injury history. I worry about their injury history. Here you see Corey Seager, William Fogel, the thumbs up. Oh, I see. I got you. Here's the thing about Corey Seager. 2018, hurt. 2020, good. 2021, hurt. And when he gets hurt. He's out for a long time. So you worry about the injuries. He was the Rookie of the Year in 2016. No doubt he's an amazing talent. 2021, if he had played the entire year, would have been a career year, in my opinion. At the age of 27, he's in his prime. Next year's going to be 28, so very reasonable to think Corey Seager could get a 10-year deal out of this. David Knight, welcome in. So Corey Seager, big piece here. I think he ends up on one of the coasts. New York or LA. I'll give my official prediction in a minute. But Corey Seager, 16 homers in 409 plate appearances, the 915 OPS. I mean, he's a star. And where's he going to go is the question. But bigger question, can he stay healthy? The other player, other big name, young, Carlos Correa, entering his age 27 season. But look at his career. Only twice has he gone over 500 plate appearances. Only twice. Now, I understand 2015, he didn't play the full year. He was a rookie. He got called up. Okay. 2016 was a good year. Played straight through. Numbers weren't that impressive in 2016. 2022, the injuries start to happen. Fluky stuff. 109 games in 17, 110 games in 18, 75 games in 19. Now, 2020, it was only a 60-game season. Played 58 of them. 2021, did miss some time, but still 148 games, 640 plate appearances. You'll like that. My worry with Carlos Correa, for him trying to get a 10-year deal, is teams are going to go to him and be like, dude, you're half of your career you've been hurt. You've missed significant time due to injury, 17, 18, 19. As you get older, you don't get healthier. So where Carlos Correa falls, two things are going to happen. Do New York and LA fans get over their hatred of the Astros and the cheating scandal? Blue Jay fans got over, and it really didn't directly affect them, but got over it real quick when it came to Springer. Do teams get over it if Correa could come to their team? He's a great talent, no doubt about it. His postseason experience is amazing. For a guy that's 27, going to be 27 years old in 2022, the things Carlos Correa can do is amazing. But do the Yankees get him? Do the Mets get him with that history? Do the Dodgers or the Angels make a play? Can he use those big markets to leverage larger deals in cities like Detroit or Seattle or Miami? His free agency, in my opinion, is the most fascinating of everybody that we're talking about because of the injury history, because of the trash can history, because of his comments about the trash can stuff. Carlos Correa is a fascinating piece. Let's get to the big dog, Marcus Semien. Played second base. He's a shortstop. At second base, had the best season a second baseman has ever had. The most home runs, at least 45. He's a finalist for the MVP. He's not going to win it, but if Vladdy had done 10% less than Vladdy did, if Shohei Ohtani wasn't pitching, I think Marcus Semien is the MVP. It's that close for Marcus Semien. An amazing year for Marcus Semien. He is going to have a chance. His versatility now, he's shown he can play second. He won a Gold Glove, and we know he can play shortstop. Now, he's the older player of these guys that we're talking about. He's going to be entering his age 31 season, so he's not looking at a 10-year deal. He's probably looking at a 5 or 6-year deal, which will be on the shorter side. So does that actually make him more attractive to teams because they don't have to lock in for as long? So Marcus Semien is an interesting piece. Does Semien give the Blue Jays a discount? and try to make a deal work. Looking at, hey, I could spend the next 5 years of my career with a bunch of guys that I really like, and I could be trying to win a World Series with these guys. So Semien is a very interesting is an interesting case. And let's also talk about the defensive guru, Andrelton Simmons, entering his age 32 season. The bat has never really been there. All right, at best, he's a 750 OPS guy, but he's got a really good glove. He's a 4-time Gold Glove winner. Hasn't been able to get back on the Gold Glove spectrum these last few years, but 2019 only 103 games, 131 games in 2021, played only half the season in 2020. So he's got to go to a spot, and I think he does, where he can showcase his glove and just try to get on base, try to make that 346 on base percentage from 2020 come back around, and then he can be a nice contributor to an offense, even though he doesn't really carry much pop. A guy with that really in 2000, when he came up with the Braves, I thought there was more to go there with that bat, and it just never materialized. So Andrelton Simmons is an interesting piece, not for the bat, but for the glove. Good defender. They say to take care of up the middle. Get your catcher, get your pitcher, get your center fielder, your second base, shortstop. You'll be good. Andrelton Simmons could be that piece for a team that I think needs two of those pieces. And I'm going to get into that prediction in just a minute. So that is the highlights. That's the focus on the names that we're going to talk about, that we're going to be predicting, that we're going to take a look at. Let me know what you think. Where is he going to go? Where are all these guys going to go? Let's dive into it. So here are the possibilities. And you see I got teams on here that were not on the need list. Because again, just because you don't need a shortstop doesn't mean you're not going to get involved here. So here we go. Let me read some of your comments before I go. We got Simmons to the A's from William, and that came from Brendan. Ryan likes Simmons to the Yankees. This is the best part. All right, half of this stuff, most of this stuff, probably all of this could be wrong. But let's take a look. I'm going to give you guys my picks. Let's start with Trevor Story. I think Trevor Story is in the mix for all of these teams, minus Oakland. We know Oakland's direction right now after letting the coach go, after, it looks like they might be trading Olsen. So Oakland isn't going to get anybody big. Spoiler alert. They're not going to have a big landing spot for Oakland. Oakland's in a tough spot. But let's take a look at this. I'm going to go with Trevor Story first, and I'm going to place Trevor Story on the Seattle Mariners. I think the Mariners will make a splash with one of these guys. Story just seems like the fit for me. I've been talking about Story to the Mariners since the trade deadline. That's why I'm sticking with that. The argument that I make for most of these guys fits with all of these teams. So you could mix and match however you like. But I think that Story, I've been saying it since the trade deadline. He stays out on the west side of the country, moves a little bit further west. Get him to Seattle. Seattle makes the splash. The outfield for Seattle is going to be set for years. That infield could use an upgrade. They didn't bring back Seager. That frees up some money. So I think the Seattle Mariners look at the step they took last year, fighting for the playoffs, right down to the last weekend, a chance to make the playoffs. You add Trevor Story into that lineup, and Seattle is making the playoffs. So I like Trevor Story going to Seattle. Next up, let's do Javi Baez. I think Baez is back with the Mets. The Conforto rejecting the qualifying offer situation does complicate some things, but in the end, I think Baez ends up back with the Mets. He wanted to play with Francisco Lindor. They made that trade happen. He was great in New York. That's the big fear, is that somebody goes to New York and they can't take the pressure. They don't perform well. Look what happened with Joey Gallo when he went to the Yankees. So Javi Baez went and showed everybody that he can play in that pressure cooker and get it done. So I think he goes back to New York. It makes the most sense to me. Javi Baez back to New York to stay with Francisco Lindor, and he is back. Let's go to Corey Seager. Another player I think is going back to their previous team. I think Seager is going back to LA. LA almost kind of, you could see it tipping their hand with the Haney deal. They're showing you that Seager, maybe the offense is the bigger play. They're only going to bring back Scherzer or Kershaw. So it's not going to be both of them. I think they save money. They pay for Seager. Seager is young. You're paying for prime years with Seager. With Max Scherzer, you only got to give him a 2 or 3 year deal for Max Scherzer. Corey Seager, you can set the money up so that it really starts to ramp up after Max Scherzer is off the books. So I think you go and you bring back Corey Seager. I think Corey Seager is a Dodger, and I think he stays there. So give me Seager back to LA. Let's stick with the Dodger theme and a player that, listen, he's either going to take the qualifying offer or he's not. And if he doesn't, I think Chris Taylor ends up, listen, there's always a random move. I feel like there is a random player, and let me close the book on Seager. Seager does not go to the Dodgers. I think he goes to the Yankees. So any Yankee fans that are like, what the hell, the Yankees aren't in here, this is bullshit. I think Seager, sorry, that was a terrible impersonation of a Yankee fan, but I think Seager goes to the Yankees if the Dodgers don't bring him back. Talking about Taylor, random sometimes moves happen, and I think there's a random move set up here. I think Chris Taylor could end up with the Colorado Rockies. His versatility, the Rockies do need a shortstop. Taylor could play short. Taylor could also slide to the outfield. They've got a lot of versatility there. Taylor kind of fits that mode. I think if you put Taylor in Colorado, he can hit 30 home runs. It's not going to cost a ton of money. And the Rockies, last year, even with the Story situation, even after losing Arenado, sort of in a very sneaky way, weren't terrible. I expected the Rockies to be awful last year, and they really were not. So the Rockies could surprise some people, put little pieces together, and Chris Taylor could be a Colorado Rocky. So give me Taylor to the Rockies. It's a long shot. It's a random pick. There's going to be one of these guys is going to just go to a random location that you're like, wait, I didn't see that coming. And it could be Taylor to the Rockies. Let's give you Marcus Semien. It's not a big surprise. I've been talking about it for weeks. Again, I'm sticking with my picks. I'm not changing anything yet. I'll change things when something happens and there's a domino effect that alters things. I'm going to have Semien with the Miami Marlins. I think the Marlins make a splash. I think the Marlins will be in the mix for Baez or Story or Seager. And I think they're going to be in the mix for all of these guys. I'm going to go with Marcus Semien. I think he is immediately gives the Marlins legitimacy and a chance to win. They got to make a move to improve that lineup. That pitching is ready to break out in 2022. Could be the year. They're going to want the bats there to support it. One of those guys is the fit. Semien makes sense to me. Aaron, LOL, Miami will sign anyone and trade them the following year. I think the page is turning for Miami. I think there's a Miami run coming soon. All right. Carlos Correa, the other big name. Give me the Detroit Tigers. I feel like it's Detroit. I've been saying it for weeks. I'm going to stick with it. He could also be a fit for Miami or the Mets. You're talking Yankees. You talk Mariners. There are a lot of places Carlos Correa could slide into. I think he ends up going to the Tigers. The Tigers, similar to Miami, similar to Seattle, the window is starting to open. This offseason, you could sign a player, make a splash, and throw that window open in a big way. And I think Carlos Correa to the Tigers makes sense. Carlos Correa can enter that spot. Listen, the AL Central is not like some of these other divisions where you can see who the best team is going to be, and they could be the best team for many years. The White Sox are supposed to be great, but something just doesn't seem to be working there. And on top of that, Tony La Russa, how long is he going to be the manager? So there's the Central, I think, will continue to be up for grabs, and the Tigers could make the move. Correa could continue to win with the Tigers. Let's see. Let's go to, and I see you guys commenting in the chat. I love that you guys are there commenting in the chat. As soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to kick it with you guys. We're going to go back and forth. Let's go to, we got 2 teams left. I feel like the Houston Astros make the play for Andrelton Simmons. We talk about shoring things up the middle. Maldonaldo's a good catcher. Altuve is a good second baseman. You have Simmons in there at shortstop. You take care of your defense up the middle. The center field spot, I don't know how good you feel about McCormick or Myers moving forward. If you like that, if you're a Houston fan, then all good. You're good to go. You take care of up the middle if you bring back Simmons. It's not the big bat, but they have so many bats that they can afford to almost punt on the production from a bat standpoint. So I like Simmons to wind up with Houston. They don't spend, Houston, listen, they're showing their fan base, look, we're trying to spend money on Correa, but I don't think that's how it's going to work out, and end up making a move so that they can re-sign Bregman. That's the next thing they have to decide. We need to get a guy, and we need to think about re-signing Bregman, so we can't make a splash with any of these big names. We have to hold off. Simmons can be a 1 or 2 year deal. Save the money for Bregman. Boom. There you go. So I think the Astros make a nice play, but a thrifty spend move thinking about their future. In Oakland, the other team that needs a shortstop, give me Freddie Galvis. Freddie Galvis feels like an Oakland move. I think he ends up being the play. They are not in a mode to spend money. They're not in a mode to win. If this continues, if they're going to trade Matt Olson and all that, they let their coach go, Oakland could be in a rebuild mode. Freddie Galvis is a good veteran guy, could give them some leadership, could play good shortstop, and if he's doing well, could be traded at the deadline and bring not a great prospect back in return, but a prospect at the very least. So, let's see. White Sox need a manager born after 1940. That's a good point. My thing is, you don't want to bring in a coach that you then are going to have to replace in a couple years because they're just too old. Unfortunately, the White Sox are in that spot. How many more years is Tony La Russa going to be there? They bring him in to win a World Series, and if it doesn't happen, you end up tearing that thing down rather quickly because you don't have longevity. So, and that money would be used for Tucker and Alvarez. That's I forgot. Good to see you in here in the chat. I don't think we've seen you before. Thank you for hopping in. A very good point. The Bregman money, Bregman has already been extended. So that money would be for Tucker and Alvarez. Okay, good call. Thank you for correcting me on that. A lot of times, guys, I'm just ripping through this and I don't have it in front of me. So I appreciate you correcting me on that. I forgot. Thank you. So those are the possible fits. Domino effects are certainly in effect here. If Correa goes to Miami, this is going to change. It all changes if one guy goes to another spot, because I don't think Semien goes to Detroit. I think Semien could end up going to Seattle in that case. Things could change. If Seager goes to the Yankees, I don't know if the Dodgers, I think Taylor probably, they maybe try to bring Taylor back if Seager goes to the Yankees. The domino effects are going to be in full effect once we start seeing some moves. So those are my predictions. Let me get the predictions out of the way as we sort of wind that down, and we'll get back to you guys. Appreciate everybody that is here, again, live with me. And if you are catching the replay, if you're watching this after the fact, this is where I'm going to leave you. For everybody catching the replay, if you're with me live, stay put. We're going to continue. We're going to talk more. But if you're catching the replay, that's who's available. That's who needs what. That's where I think players are going to go. Comment and let me know what you think. For those catching the replay, I appreciate you spending some time with the channel, and thank you for watching the video.